What's good, family? Welcome back to Power After Hours, your favorite power podcast. I'm Jeff Johnson. That's Chrissy Davis on the other side. We are here to recap Power Book 3, Raising Kanan Season 3, Episode 1, Home Sweet Home. You already know what we doing over here, and you know the vibes. Like this video. If you love what you're hearing, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Chrissy, we back in the building. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. We back. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we've been on hiatus. I've been tired, bored. TV wasn't the same. Now we back in the building with our people. Like, it couldn't get any better than this.
Yeah. It's been a great time, and we're back in the flow, recording the podcast, and it's good to have Raising Kanan in tuck so that we could talk about all the explosive action, the plot lines, the developments, everything that's going on with this show, because they packed a lot into this first episode. I mean, we got some resolutions, we got illuminated on some things, and a lot of new stuff to unpack and deal with, to say the least. Shout out to the chat gang. Shout out to everybody. Devin, what's good? Toxic Key, Jaleel, good brother Mars, Rainy. See y'all all in the building. So Iconic, what's going on with you? Prince Rock. Like, I see all of y'all in here. Thank you so much for joining us live, man.
Yes.
Joining us live. Let's get right to it, Chrissy. Let's talk about it. What did you think about this episode?
This episode wasted no time. I mean, they got right into it. They addressed everything that needed to be addressed. And I feel like we are finally getting into who the characters are becoming as a whole, like what they wanted us to take from this show. I feel like that is who we're seeing in all of these characters starting in this episode. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're going to see a lot of character, like major arcs throughout this season. But man, oh man, was it a heavy one? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it was nonstop. Something was about to pop off, you know?
Yeah. And we started off with the aftermath, probably the night after all the commotion that happened at the end of the season 2. At the end of season 2,
Yeah,
you got Rock, who's in the hospital, sling on her arm after narrowly escaping, getting bodied with a save from Unique. You got Lulu, who's in the studio. Everybody's picking up the pieces, and then you see Marvin, who's getting driven back to the stash spot by homeboy who he was having all those beefs with throughout season 2, who finally was able to help him out, and he's like plugging up his own injuries and whatnot. Now the thing with Rock was they're all getting questioned. All the cops are around, and they want to know what happened. Why is it that y'all got attacked in all these corners? What's going on with you? What's the deal? And they found a worthy fall guy in the deceased Crown Camacho, who they pinned all of this carnage on. Said that he was the one. It seems like people was coming after him. Rock made a good alibi, where she basically said, or I should say a good story, when she said, yo, dudes was coming up to me talking about Crown owe money and I owe money because I had a piece of his business, and I told them they need to get it from him. He ends up dead. They try to come after me. They had an airtight story across everyone, and it seems like, at least for now, the heat is off them.
You know what I find crazy is, like, we're in a time where cell phones were just becoming a thing, and yet they had their story locked down. Like, they had time to have a family meeting and everybody come together and they make calls. Like, this was the most locked down story that I've ever seen happen in a time where we ain't have not nah piece of technology. I mean, the MacBook that we had in season, what was that, 1? That thing was from, I mean, it was tired. So I was just like, how they got these stories down like this? It's like you thought they had been planning it all season long. But the good thing about it is, at least Crown came through in some way, some form. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He couldn't do nothing while he was around. But hey, in death, he had a part and he played it well. So,
Right. He did. And it's funny because it seemed like Rock knew that Lulu was gonna eventually kill Crown and do all of this. So he became a good get out of jail free card in a sense for Rock and the family. But we get a couple of revelations from this. After all of this, Rock starts talking like she wants out the game. She don't want to be a part of it no more. She's telling her family, I changed. And it's time for me. I got this house. I'm living the suburban life. You know what? It's time for me to really live my raps. I need to get out. I'm done with this. I'm done with the lies. I'm done with everything. And she's saying that specifically to Kanan as well, because Kanan left season 2 fully distrusting of his mom and everything going on, because he understood that he's been lied to for a long time. And he's in this act of rebellion where he don't want to listen to Rock no more. Everything he feels like he's been told is a lie. And he wants to move how he wants to move. So now you got Rock, who's kind of reaping what she sowed with all of the deceit that happened on her end and was a means to her end to try to control everything. And now she's dealing with this with Kanan.
I mean, Kanan, if you want to be real, he's been lied to since birth. I mean, there's been no truth in his life. But I'm not gonna lie. Every time he said, I hate my mother, I laugh. It's just the way he says mother. It's like, right. Bruh, we get it. You don't like her, okay? Like it's the New York is very real and apparent in this series. But I understand where Kanan is coming from in terms of not knowing. You already don't know who you are as a teenager. Like you think back when you were that age, you don't know what the hell's going on. You just trying to make sense of everything. So through all the chaos and confusion, your family is, one of the heavy hitters in terms of the drugs. And then your father is a cop like that. And then your mother had you go and try to kill your own father. I mean, there's just so much as to why Kanan has earned his right to be mad at his mother. But at the same time, it's just like, at what point do you sit down and realize you're about to make some really fucked up mistakes? Like your mom is still there. And I think Marvin is trying to play his role as the uncle father figure and saying like, you don't talk to your mother like that. You don't disrespect your mother. But it's like, bruh, she was wrong. And just saying that you changed is not going to fix the relationship and it's not going to change all the lies you told. Like, I don't blame Kanan for being mad.
Yeah. And along with Kanan being mad, he finds somebody to commiserate with in Lulu, his uncle, where Lulu is getting drunk. He's at the old crib, pouring out liquor. Do you want to talk about confessional hour? Everybody had something to confess to. This is when Lulu links up with Kanan, and he feels like he has that connection with Kanan where they can share in their equal distrust and hate of Rock. Yeah. Lou hates Rock because she literally says she owns him. He sees that his whole dream to get out the game is blown up in his face. And we almost forget all the things that happened to Rock and throughout this episode. I mean, I'm sorry, that happened to Kanan throughout this episode, and that happened to Lulu as well. And they have that conversation about it where Lulu tells him like, yo, you know what your mom was on? You know, she got scrapped. She made the call to kill D-Wiz. He has those two different conversations. First with Kanan about killing D-Wiz, and then admits he was the one who pulled the trigger. And that led to like a really dope scene where, Kanan is like, you could have said no. She wasn't controlling you. You could have said no. And I think that's where Lulu realized Rock had real full control. No matter what, the I own you was correct.
It was right.
It was right. Because when she said jump, he did say how high. He made that call. He took that body on him, and he got to live with that. But he also didn't have the courage to stand up to her and say no, which is something that Kanan is seeing right now. So I feel like when Kanan's looking at his uncle and seeing everything going on, he's thinking to himself, maybe I am making the right decision by rejecting what my mom is saying and going out on my own. I live with Famous in his shitty apartment, and I won't live with you in the suburbs, because at least if I'm on my own, I have full control over what I do, as opposed to being your pawn.
And I have my truth. You know what I mean? Like, I know who I am. And poor Lulu. I mean, if you want to talk about somebody just depressed from start to finish, like, that man can't get right. I think with everybody that he's caught, he's almost like an empath, right? Like, he takes a piece of that and carries it with him. Unless it's some type of death where he's had to fight his way out, that's different. But when you tell him to go and murder somebody and he takes that on, it's unfortunate that the deaths that he's had have been as big as they've been. Like, he's had to take on some real heavy heat. To kill a child is a whole nother, realm of things. So I feel bad for Lulu, but at the same time, I'm like, man, the fuck up. Like, I am tired of seeing Lulu whine and cry. Like, get it together. I can't be the only one that feels that way. Am I?
I don't know, chat. Let us know how you feeling. Let us know how you feeling about Lulu. Is he doing too much crying, or does he have a reason to be venting in this way? And he continued the vent session where he spoke with Marvin as well, and they talked about scrap, because Marvin didn't know. He said they had that conversation, and this is a theme about, is Rock to be trusted, and is it worth it? Is it worth reconciling if we know that she's going to be pulling the strings and making decisions based on our life? Because you got Lulu telling Marvin, yo, Scrap was not the snitch.
He was not.
And Rock killed him for no reason. And you could see their contrast in how they feel about the situation. Yeah. While they both were messed up about it, Marvin was kind of like, well, he was doing something shady. Maybe he wasn't a snitch, but he was hiding something. And he put himself in the position to even get incorrectly identified as a snitch by doing sneaky stuff. Because he mentioned where he went to the house where he said he was at his cousin's house or something, putting up pictures, and she said she hadn't seen him. So there was reason to distrust him. Maybe it wasn't to be a snitch, but Marvin even says that, like, they was doing something shady, and they poured out the liquor and they saluted him. But you can see Marvin, although Marvin was messed up, he's able to compartmentalize a lot more than what Lulu has. And I think part of that is because Rock hasn't outwardly thrown the control in Marvin's face as much as she has Lulu. Because Marvin is gonna do what he want to do, but he still will follow orders and just be like, whatever. Yeah. Whereas Lulu really wanted to be his own man and rebel, and he wasn't able to do that.
I mean, that was the wrong time and place to try to be your own man and rebel. I mean, it's not your business to try to, you gonna overthrow your sister? Like, all you had to do was work with her, and instead you chose to go against her. And I think that's where the problem really comes in. And Marvin is just like, I'm gonna play my role. Like, I know my seat, and I'm gonna be in it. You know what I mean? And that's in any company, in any business that we may work in. If you know your seat and you play your role well, you there. Unless there's no need for competition like that. Like, Lulu didn't have to go to these lengths that he's gone. But I understand Marvin's side, where he's just like, yeah, dude was still doing something dirty, which he was, but it wasn't snitching. He was just gambling with his grandmother or something. He was covering up her gambling. The
mom had an underground gambling thing, and the mom was the actual snitch.
Exactly.
Scrap.
No reason for Scrap to die. But at the end of the day, you put yourself in a position where you look shady. And unfortunately, and at least Rock admitted to the mistake. I fucked up. You know what I mean? But it still happened. What you want me to do?
It's a big fuck up. I mean, let's be honest.
It is a big fuck up.
It's a big fuck up. Like, you dropped a carton of eggs and you can replace it. You can't bring them back. I think this is where Marvin was kind of like, the game is the game.
It is.
And Lulu's like, nah, but Scrap. But she's doing this all the time. I think with Marvin showed a lot of growth. Even in this first episode, and we see it with him and Jukebox, because they talk about, her church, Kenya's church, brings over some of her clothes and her things, and he tells her, like, yo, this is for you, and says that he would accompany her to the memorial service if she didn't want to go alone, although she ended up not going and he did, and he was there. He only stayed for a minute because I guess it might have been too emotional for him, but you could see it where he's actively looking to be a dad again, and he's stepping up and he's being a dad to Juke. And even when Kanan's talking back to him in the house, where he's telling him to listen to the moms, he's talking about he has to do his breathing exercises. He needs to do his breathing exercises. It's still sharp with the humor, but you can see, whereas Marvin the previous couple of seasons would have been a hothead, now it's like he's thinking through his actions more. He's using prudent decision making and analyze and responding instead of reacting, and you can see it with his relationship with Juke.
I love it. I think Marvin's character, I think I said this last season, one of my favorite of the show. I just think he has such a good way of making his point while being funny and serious at the same time. You know, I love that he's able to be so loyal to Rock, but watching his growth in his relationship with Juke, just as a father in these past 2 seasons, you know, going from hemming your daughter up against the wall to now being there and supporting her and, you know, in her losing her mom. And, you know, I love the scene with Juke when she's asking so many questions. This was an episode of question asking for Juke and just trying to get answers. And when she's asking Rock, you know, why was my mother here? And, you know, Rock tells her a good story. You know what I mean? Like, she was sorry. And, you know, she just wanted to be there for you. All these things that Juke needed to hear. And unfortunately, we'll never hear from her mom. And I just love that Rock will always step into that role as a motherly figure for Juke, even when it may be hard for her to do that, because she's having her own issues with her own blood son. But she stepped in that moment for Juke. And I can always appreciate that and love that about Rock's character.
Power After Hours, your favorite Power podcast. This is Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Season 3, Episode 1, recap, Home, Sweet Home. Chrissy, you said you loved Rock's character. Do you love her choice in love interests? Because we see her and Unique. Unique? You see, you're in Unique. It seems like they got a thing going on. They finally cashed in their chip from all of that flirting they was doing towards the end of the season, and it seems like, you know, we got our power sex scene early on. We got it in season 1. You know, we can't go without that. So what did you think? What did you think of how this quickly developed?
I mean, it was bound to happen, in my opinion. There's something special about Rock's relationship with Unique, in my opinion. You know, from watching them in season 1 going head to head, like literally hating each other, just wanting to be on top. That was their thing. And in the process of fighting to be on top, you know, they are having to work together in last season. And it just brought them to a realization where I understand you. Like, I may not fuck with you, but I understand you, and I understand the decisions that you make, not only for yourself, but for your people and your family. And I think it's almost like a mutual respect that they may have, especially the fact that he stepped in and saved her life. You know, I thought that was a pivotal moment for their relationship, because he didn't have to do that. He could have let her die and essentially been that man that he's always wanted to be on top. But he chose to save her life. And I think it's like at some point that relationship just has to grow into something. But, you know, it was interesting watching that, because throughout this episode, you know, he's with his family. He's with his girl. And so I'm like, yo, you really finna, because you was getting real close.
Right.
Okay. I was a little confused now, but I understand her relationship with him. Now, if he becomes a snitch, I'm gonna have problems now, because she likes to date snitchy type men. Because you know how I felt about, what was his name? Sincere? What was his name?
Symphony, baby.
Symphony.
Might be Symphony. I'm sincere that his name is Symphony.
Symphony, the snitch. He will forever be a snitch.
Oh God.
And you know, now if he becomes one, we're gonna have some problems. But I am saying it was bound. I think their relationship was bound to happen.
Yeah, you can see the sparks flying early at the towards the end of the season. I think it's built off of mutual respect, and I think it was one of those things that was bound to happen. She's in a vulnerable position. She just got almost died. He's the one who saved her. And I think through that respect and through those connections, she was with it, and you've seen that, and that's going to leave her up to a whole bunch of other vulnerabilities, especially with a new character that's introduced, which is Ronnie, Unique's older brother, who's just got out of jail and seems like he's ready to touch the streets and shake everything up. I love the description that 50 on the narration gave, where he said, is the crazy dude of the hood that you don't want to mess with. Ronnie's the dude that nigga don't mess with. Yeah. Right? I thought that was amazing because he's introduced as someone who's been in jail, who seems like he's a little off, where you don't know how ruthless he is, but you can see he's dissatisfied with the way things have gone on the street. It seems as though he was running Unique's business before Unique. When he went to jail, he passed it on to Unique, and now he comes out and Unique is working with Rock instead of trying to overtake her, and he ain't with that. So I think this leaves Unique and Rock vulnerable, because what happens if he finds out that they have some type of romantic relationship? What happens when his brother says it's time to take our territory back?
Yeah.
We don't know. So I think that I like how they introduced him as this family figure who's back. Yeah. And we just know that he ain't messing around, but we don't get the full extent. We just get like a little sample, and it's enough to raise some eyebrows and to keep your eye on him.
I'm scared. I'm not gonna lie. And as you were describing that, you know what it reminds me of? Force. And how, Diamond went to jail and passed his business down, to little brother. It kind of, if we're thinking in that way, I'm like, he scares the shit out of me. He has no emotion. No matter what you say to him, it was like he was emo. And so I feel like he's the type of person that'll kill somebody and just be like, that was Monday. You know what I mean? Like, very nonchalant about death. I don't know what sent him to jail. Like, did they say that? I don't think they said what sent him.
They didn't say.
And I'm scared to find out. Okay. It couldn't have been too bad because he got out. Couldn't have been anything too crazy because his ass is free.
Right.
But all I know is that character scares the shit out of me. And I feel like we're about to get like a little drip of his character throughout the season, where we kind of are going to see, who he is, what he's about. Unique is likely going to have to take a stand and figure out what side he is on. And the girlfriend obviously don't want nothing to do with him, because I think she's scared too. So if everybody's scared of this dude, when we finna be scared? I don't want nothing to do with him. Nothing.
Exactly. Shout out to Jaleel, who said boy ain't even give his brother a hug after 3 years. If he ain't even trying to give your brother a hug after doing time, something's crazy. Something's crazy going on right there. So yeah, it's interesting. He's an interesting character that they introduced, and I'm looking forward to see what he has in store. Other one is Marchetti, who's played by Tony Danza. Yeah. So I'm looking into, because his character was pissed because Sal's hit did not go as planned. His hit didn't go as planned, and now they gotta clean up the messes. They gotta clean up everybody's mess, and they were adamant in pointing that out, that he can't do no more. Sal can't do no more in New York. He doesn't even want Sal around. Because he's made it hot, because now they're not just dealing with the cops, who they probably got some on payroll and that they can take care of with money. The feds are involved. Chrissy's favorite people, the feds are involved.
So the feds coming knocking.
So that means he's made it all the more hot for them.
You don't want the feds around. When the feds come snooping, that means they have something that they want to investigate. So when the block is hot like that, everybody has to cool off. No money's being made because they know everybody's being looked at. And that's a problem when you're dealing with a business where people need to be on the streets. So I get it. I understand why he don't want him nowhere near the place, because his hit was pure, it was trash. Nothing got accomplished. Who other than Kenya died? Who? Like, and Kenya had no stake. She wasn't dealing no drugs, wasn't doing no drugs, wasn't selling no. Like, there was no reason she had to die. So the hit was a bomb, and now the fact that he has to clean it up, I wouldn't be happy about it either. And he got to go somewhere else other than here. But you know that's gonna make him mad. And I just hope that he don't do nothing stupid, because the feds is a knocking. That means there's gonna be an informant somewhere. And so y'all know when there's an informant, Chrissy's gonna find them.
It's another Chrissy witch hunt. And shout out to good brother Mars, who said Sal had to buy fish still. He told him, he kicked him out, sent him back to Jersey, and told him to buy some fish before he left.
Where's the fish? You have to buy it.
So he basically had to pay a toll to get out, and to pay double the toll. He had to pay the bridge toll, and he had to pay the fish toll. Otherwise, he might have been sleeping with the fishes. You know what I'm saying? So he had to make sure that everything was set. We talked about a lot of the revelations. Characters wanted to come clean. We got the scene with Howard and Rock and Kanan in Fabe's crib. They kicked Fabe's out of his crib, which is some of the most classic. That's so classic when people come over to your house and they would have private conversations. You like,
it's my house,
dude. Like, it's my house. But Fabe's ribs was touching. I think he got high and decided he didn't realize he was eating as much as he did, and a few bucks to get some pizza, something was able to get him out. And they finally have the family conversation that's been long overdue about what's going on. Because at this point, Marvin already knows, because Rock told him, and that's another evolution in his growth where he's just like, yo, what? Like, he's just like, what's going on? Who's dad? And does people know? And what are we going to do with this? And they know they got to hold it down. But then they have that main conversation with Kanan, because they tell him, you're wilding out. You're going around. You're doing all these things. And if you blow your cover, no one's safe.
No one's safe.
No one is safe.
And you keep running your mouth. You keep talking about what you did. When he brought up the fact that he had to shoot his father, he was like, the fact that you even are saying that in this room is a problem. Shut your mouth. You're talking too much. Like, I get that you're mad at your mother, but your mouth has ramifications that literally could shut down everything. So you need to think about that. And I love that Famous is always going to be famous. Like, you're going to be able to bribe him with some money so that he can get some food, because he ate all that turkey. Talking about some, did you eat the turkey? No, dude, you ate the damn turkey when you was high. Like, the things you do, boy, you forget what you eat sometimes. And so I love that Rock already knew what time it was. She was like, here, just go, Famous, please. Exactly. And the fact that the Kanan has a father who is a cop makes this show all the more better, in my opinion, because how do you balance that? You know what I mean? Like, you think you may have a father who can get you out of every situation, but at the same time, nobody can know that that's your father. And Kanan brings the revelation out that Burke, has been pressing him. And then you got his mom who's like, yo, that's that white cop that was pressing me too. Mm-hmm. And it becomes a situation where Howard knows he has to say something and do something, because if he doesn't, Rock is going to handle it. And that's what he doesn't want. Because he kept looking at her, and that what that look is like, you better do something or I'm going to. He knows her well enough to know her, what she can do and what she will. Like, if you can send your own son to kill his father, there's nothing that you won't do. Fast. So I love that he knew he had to make a move in that instant, and he definitely does what he says he's going to do. But I'm interested to see how the relationship between Rock and Howard continues to develop as parents. with Kanan, because Howard at some point is going to want to assert himself more as the father. And we all know Rock thrives off of control. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah. I'm looking into that, and I gotta get my first of all, Brillo Big Review. Thank you for subscribing, brother. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe already. Best Power TV community on the internet or anywhere you're gonna get it. Join us. We love talking about these shows, so thank you for tapping in with us. Gotta get my guy Wandering Sage. Thank you so much for the super chat, my bro. Burke hold the record for worst Hail Mary attempt.
Golly.
Yeah, we could get to it because Burke was going through it in this episode. Okay, she was going through it. She's getting suspended from the job because she's pressing cops, and she's slowly realizing that they're prioritizing criminals on the outside over criminals inside of their organization.
Yeah.
And you could even tell when she's having the argument with her dad about whether or not she's doing the right thing, and he's telling her how the investigation is going to go and let him do the talking because she should have stopped digging because now they're going to start looking into you. They have that internal investigation. They start pulling out her talking to Jukebox and her getting homeboy out of jail to get to have a lead and doing this improper stuff where they're kind of looking at her like, you trying to whistleblow on your partner. You trying to whistleblow on your partner, and you're doing dirty stuff too. So what is it? What problem do we really have here? She losing her relationship. We're a homegirl, and it's just everything seems to be rock bottom. And that's when Howard, who probably didn't want her to lose her job or to do anything like that, says, yo, we need to talk. I'll tell you everything you need to know. When we realized she didn't need to get up to date on anything. She knew everything. She knew about the relationship with Rock, her getting pregnant, having Kanan, hiding it from him, knew that Kanan and him were related, knew that Kanan was the one who shot Howard in the assassination attempt, and she's putting everything together. And one thing we say on this show constantly, in the Power universe, when you know too much, you gone. You gone.
Bye-bye.
And they took her out. Howard took her out in the wildest way possible. What did you think about that scene, Chrissy?
Man, oh man, that was wild. Of all ways that I thought she was gonna go, I didn't think it was actually gonna be Howard that took her out. I don't know, part of me, because I think we at the end of last season we asked who we thought was gonna die in this season, and she was one of my people, but a part of me thought it was gonna be Juke that ended up killing her just out of frustration. But to see Howard have to make that decision, she knew too much. And like she said, the only thing I don't know is how you found out that you were Kanan's father. Right. And for that to be the only thing that girl didn't know, like she had pieced together everything. But unfortunately for her, as she's piecing this together, she's looking more and more crazy and delusional and irrational to her higher ups and her fellow officers. Like, you can't go around, trying to pin something on another cop without hitting that brick wall. And unfortunately for her, that wall ended with a bullet. And I don't blame Howard, because it's like, what else did he have to do? I knew the moment he called her from, a payphone, that it probably wasn't going to end well for her, because he didn't want a trace of that call being made. Right. And after having the worst day in history, it's not anything crazy to think that she would kill herself. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And then for him to find out, not only was she spitting all this stuff, she was recording him too. She had to go. I knew it was going to happen. She just knew too much. But it is unfortunate that she died at the hand of her partner. I wish she would have been a little bit more careful in meeting with Howard. But I think that Howard, as much as he doesn't want to become a rock, has slowly become that. I mean, you're not a drug dealer, but you're just as dirty, and you will do anything to stay in power, on top, in your position. You don't want to lose that. And because you don't want to lose that, you kill your partner. It's really sad. Really sad.
It is. It is sad. And amongst that sadness, I have to say that scene was shot beautifully. No
Oh
pun
yes,
intended. I
absolutely.
love them having the conversation and they zoom out. They zoom out quick to where you just see the pop. And I was like, oh, like
Yeah, me too.
sitting there shocked, like, damn. Like I had a feeling something was gonna go down, but that was just sudden. It was as if he made the decision and just went with it.
He had to.
And had to set her up, and then found out not only did she have a recorder, she had a gun too.
Yeah.
He didn't know. And back to Wandering Sage and the Hail Mary attempt, she tried, and it was almost as if she had the gun for her protection, but was thinking, man, if Howard is going to try to kill me, I'm going to see it a mile away. And she did not see it coming. And it has the perfect setup for her. She got suspended, like you said. So it's a perfect setup to frame her for suicide. And now Howard's kind of become the thing that he hated the most, which is criminals, right?
Yeah.
He understands that there's a fine line and means to an end and all of that, but he's now gotten his hand dirty because of the sins that he had when he was younger. And it's like he's giving his pound of flesh now to the game.
Ooh.
Because of what happened. You know?
You better speak it.
I mean,
okay.
It is what it is, man. That's what he did. That's what he did. So
you slept with a minor. Like that's just is what it is. You slept with a minor, you got her pregnant, and it just so happened that she was dealing with drug dealers and ended up becoming a kingpin. Yep. So in all of that, you are stuck. You have no choice. You're an officer. You can't do shit like that.
Yeah. And you think about it, when you put it like that and all the stuff that came back to him, shoot, he's getting off light. Like you think about it, he needed Kanan for like that bone marrow transplant and all of that. And it was so much that he had going on for him. And he could have been a whole lot worse trouble than what he was before, you know? It's just ill to see him be put in this position with Kanan and Rock. And Kanan was the one who kind of orchestrated it, because he said, you know what'll happen if she talk. It don't matter if she's a cop or not. If she knows, and she's a problem. Yep. So you will be a part of this family. What you gonna do about it, Pop?
Kanan said, I'm for the streets, baby. I'm ready to kill, I'm ready to sell, and I'm ready. You just want to die by the game. That's
My man was ready to be a weed man on the corner for the plug in order to make his own money. Like these dudes just to pay rent, they was ready to sell. And he told Famous, like, yo, we got to do something. You talking about eviction notices and all that. You don't want to go. And I love the conversation with him and Famous, where Famous was like, yo, man, my mom called me. I'm back there tomorrow.
That's real.
You don't know. Like, you think this adult shit is easy. Let my mom call me. I'm back in there tomorrow, and you wildin'. You wildin' staying with me. And you my man, and I'm telling you wildin' staying with me. You know, and it's real. It's real that he would put it to him like that, but you could tell Kane is too far gone. He ain't trying to hear all of that.
No.
He ain't trying to hear all of that at all.
It's unfortunate, because everybody's trying to tell him the same thing. Like, you need to still be a kid. Like, he wants so bad to be an adult. Like, he's literally fast forwarding his life for no reason. And that's the crazy part. And Rock, unfortunately, doesn't realize that she's exposed him to a lifestyle that it's almost like he idolizes that lifestyle. He wants so bad to be a part of it because he sees the power within. And it's crazy the way that this show will always bring you back to that key word, power, because that's essentially what every character in this show wants, whether on the side of good or bad. It's just unfortunate.
That's a fact. All right, we got a $5 super chat from Brillo, the big review. Thank you, brother. What up? New to the channel. I like the vibe. Maybe we could collab. Yo, you already know, man. We always down to connect with people in the community. Shout out to you and everything you got going on. I see you got your TVC gang taking over the chat right now. You say, so the more the merrier. Bring all to the best power community. On YouTube right now, anywhere digital that you get a digital signal, this is the best one here. So thank you for joining our community and tapping in with us. Chrissy, after this episode, how you feeling about the prospects for the rest of the season?
I'm up in the air with a lot of different characters and things. I think Juke is my wild card always. I think this episode was quiet for her because she's dealing with death in her own way. She's dealt with death pretty much every season of this show. And she's just one of those characters where we know how she ends and we don't know how she got there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because she's not showing any signs of that yet. So I'm still so intrigued by her character. But yeah, there's just so many parts of this show. While they answered a lot of questions, they left a lot still to be desired. So this season I think is going to be really good. I'm excited. I just love the fact that it's a timepiece show and it brings me back every week. I always get transported back to the 80s.
Facts.
And I feel like I'm in that moment with the music and the way they talk and how they, they just walk. It's just, it's a vibe. Watching this show is a vibe all the time. So I'm very excited for this season. This episode was great. And I think it's setting us up for a lot of a different type of takeover with Rock saying she's out of the game. I don't think you can ever leave the game. No. And I think you are always in it no matter what. We saw that with Ghost. So I'm just interested to see where it takes us, really, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. I'm interested. They started it off. It's another fire episode in the series. Definitely got me hyped for the rest of the season. Definitely got me hyped to review with you and to really like dive in because I've heard a lot of great things so far about the show, and it's living up to the hype that we've all had when we want to watch it. So, we've been wanting to watch it. We've been wanting it to come back, and they're back. They filmed season 3. Of course, that's airing now. They started filming season 4 this week in New York City. So if you didn't know, now you know. Raising Kanan is coming back for a season 4. And they're shooting it right now. We were able to be at the premiere for season 3. Got some interviews. Also, did a power press junket with the cast, with some of the cast of season 3. So definitely go on our YouTube if you haven't seen the interviews already. Tap in with those. It's a good primer before season 3 begins. We tap into a lot of the different character arcs that's been going on, and of course, the cast is phenomenal. They're really dope. They're a big vibe. So tap in. Y'all are gonna like their interviews, and hopefully let them know that you want to see them on our show too, and we'll get them on for later on in the season as well, because I love talking to them. They passionate about the show. They love talking about the show and the characters with the fans. So it's gonna be an awesome season with Chrissy, with myself, and of course with you. Chrissy, please tell the people where they can find you on social.
I mean, you can find me at this lovely handle right under my face. It would be Chrissy B. Davis on all the platforms. I'm live. I'm everywhere. What about you, Jeff?
Jeff J Says, all social media. Tap in if you like sports, culture, and commentary. Jeff J Says on YouTube. We're talking about heavy NBA right now, and it's a great vibe for you sports fans, for you gambling fans. If you like culture commentary as well, we on there. Also, everywhere on social media, you can find me, and you can find Power After Hours on YouTube, youtube.com/Power After Hours for the audio gang, the podcast gang. Definitely tap in. I want y'all to come in live, or even if you don't view the show live, I want you to check it out. Check it out on the replay. Like, it's good. Like, I know y'all like to listen to it on the audio, but check it out on video too, because it's really, really dope. And we got an awesome community that taps in with us. Like this video if you love what you're hearing. Comment. Tell us what you thought about the episode. Tell us what you thought about our show, some of the points we brought up. Definitely share this with anybody you know that watches Power, because this is the dopest community, and we have a good time, so we want to expand it with great people. So do that for us as well. And yeah, this has been another fire Power After Hours recap for Raising Kanan. You already know we'll be back next Monday, 7 p.m. live, ESTLIVE. We're going to be here with you, and we're going to review episode 2. So tap in with us. For Chrissy, for myself, and for everybody in the chat gang, thank you for supporting. Podcast gang, thank you for supporting. Replay gang, we will see you in a little bit for the first time. That does it for us, y'all. We're going to talk to you later. Have a great night.
Peace.